Hello, one and all. It's your favorite neighborhood birdie. Bringing you what I strongly suspect will be the longest video of this set. So as of the recording of this particular video, we have cleared every single chapter up to and including Meyer, but I've still got a few wrong ends to show. This video, however, will not be focusing on Meyer. This one will be focusing on Shangri-La, which has the most wrong endings available in it, with a grand total of 8, plus the ninth true ending. Yeah. Now, Shangri-La, as I was researching this one, I found out it was actually a little bit special, in that 2 of the wrong endings aren't even available until you get the true ending for Shangri-La. So, yeah. So there's actually going to be a lot of new content in this one, potentially. But there's also going to be a lot of death, so that's what you're really here for, isn't it? Anyway, since this is going to be a long one, I think we're just going to jump straight into it and go straight to Shangri-La. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. So, yeah, we're just going to hop straight into Shangri-La. Now, this is a complicated one. I've had to make a lot of notes on this one. So, oh, I actually can't skip it. Oh, I can, okay. I was a bit worried for a second there. I was like, it's not letting me skip it. So yeah, Shangri-La. This one is going to be it's going to be a clusterfuck of biblical proportions, I'll be honest. So, we got a little bit of prep work to do before we go for any of the endings here. So, first things first, we're going to examine the door. Because we're playing as Bitsuki at the moment. And that then leads on to us finding Kurosaki. And then Kurosaki tries to fade away around us, disappears, and we get Fukuroi in his place. That's fine, not a problem. Once we do that, next thing we want to do is we want to go down the stairs to the first floor. And from here, we're going to go straight into the music room. Now, we get the matches and the candles. We also want to be aware that there is something in the piano and the locker. But it doesn't matter because we can't get either right now. That's fine, but you do need to examine them to know that they are both there. That's fine. So from here, we want to head to the exit. It'll just take a second to get there. And yes, back at the exit, we now want to examine the bloody looking shelf, and we want the key in its mouth. Okay, now that key that we know from the good ending that we got is for the art room. So that's where we're going to go. Now the art room is upstairs on the 2nd floor. So again, it will just take us a second to get there. That must be really annoying, having the art room above the music room. But oh well. And we now unlock the door. So, inside the art room, There's a lot of things we could examine in here. The only thing we're really interested in is the palette life. Or the palette knife, sorry.
これ何かに使えるかな
Okay. And then with palette knife in hand, we go back down to the music room. Now we've got the palette knife in hand, we can get the thing in between. We can get the key in between the well, keys, and then use said key to take out the box. And we get ourselves the grave tag. Okay, so now from here, we want to go up the second floor stairway on the west side. I'll just take a second to get there. And at this point, this is where I'm going to take the first save. So, this is where we can actually branch off for the first 3 bad endings of the game. So, ironically, I nearly got this one on my first attempt. So, if we go along the second floor, and if I actually go to the right location, I think it's this one I need. We have our evil asshole, the Red Spirit, here. Now, I will show this off because I kind of glanced through it during the stream, but I'll show this part off because if you're only interested in the true ending, you might have just skipped past the first the first time around it.
誰かが僕の頭を盗んだ。取り戻して、僕があんたたちの力になれるかもしれない。
Of course, we now know that to be bollocks, but yeah.
どうする
ああ、参ったな。心霊現象なんて信じていなかったが、これ以上ない証拠を目の当たりにしてしまった。
Swing and a miss, Fukuroi. Swing and a miss.
じゃなくて、この人の頼み聞くかってこと。どうしよう。私たちも友達探してるけど、この人も困ってるみたい。
And against her better judgment, we are going to help him.
困っているようだし、俺たちにできることなら助けてやりたいな。
そうだね。もしかしたらここから出る手がかりを教えてくれるかもしれないし。
I mean, he technically does, just not one that we like. So, with that, if we continue up to the reference room, or rather the hall just outside the reference room, the door and window alike are frozen in place. That's just talking about the ref room door. We don't need in the ref room, but we do need the bucket. Nothing inside. And we're going to take the bucket before we kick it. It's old and rusted, but it still seems sturdy enough. That's okay. So from here, we want to head back downstairs. It'll just take a second for Mitsuki to get there. And return to the exit. And now, with bucket in hand, we're gonna grab what's left of the head.
年格好からするとこれだと思うけど。
大丈夫か、美月。
Simply standing in the presence of this severed head was turning my stomach. The foul stench of decay was absolutely overpowering. Even in this low light, I could easily see maggots crawling through his eye sockets, his nose, his mouth, all over his skin. They were everywhere.
ダメ私この匂い。
亡くなってから随分経ってるみたいだな。
これを運ぶの？手で持って。
さっきのバケツ使ってみるか。
And yeah, try it.
このバケツなら入りそうだな。俺がやるよ。美月はバケツを持っていてくれるか。
分かった。ありがとう、フクロイ。
いいさ。
And Fukuroi used his hands to dig the head out of its cubbyhole and plop it into the bucket. The maggots, sensing that something was amiss, suddenly began pouring out of its various sockets and climbing all over their new rusted metal home.
はい、ティッシュ使って。
助かる。もう二度と味わいたくない感触だよ。
I mean, I can't imagine it's comfortable. And with that, we return the head to its owner.
持ってきたよ。
君の頭だと思う。受け取ってくれ。
僕の頭だ。僕の顔。こんなに腐ってしまって。なんだこの虫どもは。僕の顔。醜い。
同情するよ。ここには君と同じように亡くなっている人が大勢いる。なんとか警察に連絡して犯人を逮捕してもらわないと。
お前、哀れんだな。僕をかわいそうな奴だと思ったな。
いや、そういう意味では不快に感じたなら謝るよ。
僕が惨めだと思ったろ。醜くて不潔だと思ったろ。二度と僕の体には触りたくないと。
フクロイ、なんか様子が変だよ。
ああ、ここは一旦外へ。
You think?
自分がまだ生きているから。だから死人を見下す。傲慢な聖者。お前たちもこっち来い。お前たちを奴らに渡してやる。怖いぞ。奴らはとびきり怖いぞ。
いったここはフクロイ、フクロイ、どこ？どっかその辺で気絶してるのかな。あ、そうだ、ろうそく。
And we end up down in the bomb shelter. My surroundings were far different than I'd expected. I seemed to be in some sort of hallway underground. There was a chill in the air, both literally and figuratively. The smell that wafted about was both musty and gloomy somehow.
フクロイ、フクロイ、しっかりして。私たちなんかヤバそうなとこに落とされちゃったよ。フクロイってば。フクロイ。
His eyes were wide open, but he gave no response. Looking a bit closer, I noticed that his neck had been severely twisted. He was staring right at me, but his body was facing the other direction. And his half-agape jaw was completely motionless. He wasn't breathing.
嘘。冗談でしょ。 ねえ、笑えないって。
And then there were
誰
footsteps.
か来る。どうしよ
What do we do? Well, what we do kind of depends what ending you want to go for. So, bad ending 1. Wait right there.
う。よかった、人だ。もしかしたら黒崎かトウコたちが。こっち、助けて。こっちに怪我人がいるの。
And the footsteps drew closer and closer, and then, finally, the figure making them came into view.
すみません、私白檀高等学校の生徒で。
Yeah, that's Yoshikazu. Yeah, Yoshikazu. Words.
バカ、何言ってんの。こいつがまともな人間に見えるの。山本美月って言います。友達が怪我しちゃって、斧持って。
Gravely injured. He's kind of dead. It's a bit more than gravely injured.
こいつが。私たち気がついたらここにいて、死体とか逃げるのよ。逃げろ。逃げて美月。助けてください。
I mean, he helped of a sort. Alright, one down and several to go. So that's wrong end number 1. Now, wrong end number 2 actually was shown on stream. And it plays out largely the same. Basically, you do everything that we did up to that save. We help with the red spirit, get his head back. He returns the favor by kicking us down here, killing Kurosaki. Or Fukuroi, sorry. And we're left with the same decision. Should I stay or should I go?
誰か来る。
Now I find the first ending quite interesting because if you stay where you are, you get Yoshikazu. But if you run,
やばい、絶対やばい。逃げなきゃ。ごめん、袋井。
if you run, you get Taguchi.
何なんだろうここ。昔の防空壕か何か。女の子。こんなとこに。私たちみたいにこの建物に閉じ込められたのかな。そこの子、ここは危ないから。
Yes, it is.
お姉ちゃん、お姉ちゃん誰？あの人殺しのおじさんの仲間？
違うよ、怖がらないで。私もね、逃げてきたんだ。あなたこの血どうしたの？人殺しのおじさんって。
わからないの。大きいおじさんに友達が3人殺されて、私だけ助かったの。
そう、ひどい目にあったんだね。お姉ちゃん、お友達を探してる途中なんだけど、よかったら一緒に来なよ。ここ危なそうだし、ぶっちゃけ私も一人じゃ怖いしね。
うん、ありがとう。
Yeah, I would feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable having Sachiko for company, wouldn't you?
思ったより入り組んでるみたい。地図でもあれば。
こっちだよお姉ちゃん。
At least she knows where we're going.
こっち。ここ。
道に詳しいんだね。
She should. It's her bloody place.
慣れてるから。
そういえばあなたのお名前まだ。
篠崎幸子。
いった何するの。
さあ何をしようかな。
なんなのここ。
I couldn't decide if it looked more like a pre-war medical facility or a meat processing plant. A little of column A, a little of column B. The stench was overpowering. Not only was the smell of rotting flesh everywhere, but the air was stale and thick. The room seemed to have no ventilation to speak of whatsoever. My eye was first drawn to the blood-spattered table, then to the many other instruments, all stained with dry blood and sprinkled liberally with viscera. And then I saw it, in the back of the room.
そんなあれって。
There was definitely more meat processing than medicine going on in here. What I saw was literally a pile of human remains, every one of them flayed open or torn apart. It was almost like a stack of discarded butcher scraps. Well, I'm glad you could see them, because I can't.
いや、何よこれ。いや。
そこに知り合いでもいた？どれ？返してあげる。一部でよければ。全部吐いて楽になっちゃうといいよ。
なんでこんなこと。
落ち着いた？じゃあ始めようか。
何する気なの。やめて
みんなそう言うんだ。やめるわけないのにね。
I mean, she has a point.
おい、薄のろ。そいつを捕まえて。そうだな。吊るせ。
The large man seemed intent on obeying Sachiko's every command. He drew near me, slowly and robotically. There was no emotion, no sense of urgency. Just a man walking across the room to do his job, like it or not. I have to run. If he catches me, I'll be...
鬼ごっこ？出口はこっちだよ。たどり着けるかな。
The man's movements remained slow and evenly paced, but there were only so many places to flee in a room this small. If I got tired before he did, I'd be finished. My only hope was to get out into the hall before that happened. The two of us glared at one another for a few moments from across the dissection table, and then as soon as he made his move, I leaped on top of it. I'd underestimated just how slippery the table might be, with its thick layer of blood and fat. I quickly spilled off the other side onto the floor. My legs and hindquarters were soaked through with the blood of an untold number of other people, but I didn't have time to think about that. Adrenaline gave me the strength to stick my landing, and I managed to keep running without skipping a beat. I was in the home stretch. For a couple more steps, anyway. A sharp pain suddenly shot through my leg as it touched the ground. I immediately fell into a heap. My right leg was now firmly impaled with thick, sharp metal spikes. I'd been caught in an old-fashioned bear trap. The kind that's got 2 rows of metal shark teeth lined up on either side, instantaneously snapping shut as soon as any weight is applied in the middle. The thing was designed to catch bears and tigers, so what hope did a human have of escaping it? I swallowed my pain and started grabbing whatever I could get my hands on. Dirt, bones, anything, and chucking it at the encroaching giant. It was the only thing left for me to do. I was out of options. The man's foot came down hard on my left leg. It immediately contorted unnaturally and went limp, and I could see a pointed shard of bone jutting out from a bloody hole in my sock. Next, the man wrapped both my arms in chains. As he pulled on the chains, my leg muscles also tightened around sharp metal spikes and a compound fracture. The pain was literally unbearable. In my half-unconscious, agony-addled state, I was just barely awake. Fucking hell, I cannot read tonight. In my half-unconscious, agony-addled state, I was just barely aware of being raised into the air by my arms on some sort of pulley system. Yeah, nothing to worry about. Yes. Why not the bloody foreigners? I think I said that on stream as well.
決めた。あなたはカワハギの毛。顔の皮を全部剥いたら、体も隅々まできれいに剥いてあげる。
Sachigo began approaching me with a broken off shard of an earthenware pot in her hands. An intense pain shot through my entire face. An undiluted primal scream escaped my mouth unwittingly, as if I were throwing up blood. But not a living soul was around to hear it. There was absolutely no way for me to resist anymore. All I could do was lie limply, strung up along the wall, and feel my skin getting peeled away. Sometime amongst the throbbing, shooting, burning, electric agony coursing through every nerve ending, overseen by the girl's sneer, I lost consciousness. The very last thing I saw before lapsing into eternal slumber was a familiar strip of skin being flapped about merrily in Sachiko's hands. It was my own face, perfectly flayed from my head, staring back at me with blank eyes and flanked by Sachiko's overly delighted grin. So yeah, we had that wrong end during the stream by helping the guy, helping the ghost. I was fucked one way or the other, but I didn't know that at the time. So yeah, I said fuck you on the stream and moved on. So we've still got plenty of endings to get. And we can get the next one from this save. So this is before we've talked to the ghost. I'm not talking to the ghost this time. Instead, I'm heading straight to the girls' room. Which of course is covered up in this charm. But we picked up the oh, what's it called? The grave tag earlier, so we can just use it. And again, I'm skipping past this because this is all part of the true end as well. So if I go into the girls' room proper now, and examine the door, this one's locked from the inside. It won't open, but there's a tiny hole in the door. So we are going, so for wrong ending number 3, we're going to take a peek.
この穴から中が見えるかも。
おい、美月。
I put my eye up to the hole and saw the telltale glint of another eye staring back at me from within.
どうした？
誰かが中にこっち見てた。
そんなバカな。下からは足が見えないぞ。俺が確認してみる。
Fukuroi ducked down and peeked in through the hole, exactly as I had. It didn't end well for him.
フクロイ、どうしたの？ちょっと平気？フクロイ！嘘でしょ？
Fukuroi fell onto his side, and as soon as I could see his face, I noticed that his right glasses lens was cracked and his right eye was bloody. On closer inspection, I noticed a round hole in the lens, as if a small stick or a fat needle had been instantaneously driven through it deep into his eye.
フクロイってば！起きて！起きてよ！
There was no hint of a response. He just kept suddenly convulsing, as if he'd been electrocuted. How had this happened? What was going on?
女子トイレに男子が入っちゃいけないんだよ。
何よあんた？
The stall door opened, revealing a little girl with an eerie blue glow about her. She looked to be around grade school age, a 5th or 6th grader maybe. One of her eyes had been completely pulverized, but her face showed no indication of pain. Rather, it had a certain stoic quality to it. It was unreadable. Most disturbingly of all, however, was the object she held in her right hand. It was an awl or an ice pick or some such thing, with a bloody, dripping blade.
お姉ちゃんが男子を女子トイレに入れたの？
待って、私。
And before I even had a chance to answer, the girl leapt from the stall with blinding speed.
いけないんだよ。
Reacting as quickly as I could, I threw my arm in front of my face and almost immediately felt the ice pick blade pierce right into it. Not just once, but twice, 3 times. It'll be a lot more than that by the time we're done. It dug deep into my arm, my palm, my shoulder. I had to run, but she wasn't about to let me. She just quietly kept hacking away, working her way up and down the entire length of my arm. Bit by bit, my skin and flesh was chipped away until finally the ice pick completely penetrated my palm and began boring into my cheek. Eventually, my ear was hacked apart, and then I was scalped so thoroughly that I could hear the sound of my skin peeling away with my remaining ear. There was nothing in the world but pain at this point. I couldn't focus on anything else if I'd wanted to. My vision was blank, and I honestly couldn't tell if it's because I had my eyes closed or if I simply didn't have eyes anymore. I only knew for sure that I was still being hacked apart because I could hear it. The pain gave no indication, as it was already omnipresent. I begged for mercy several times in vain before I finally just started praying that this agony would come to an end. God, please. I will endure whatever trials lie ahead with open arms if you'll just save me now. I beg of you, please, make it stop. I think you're in the one place in all of non-reality where, well, God can't hear you. So, that's the third wrong ending. We're not even halfway yet. So, from here, I just need to go back to my notes here, 2 seconds. Right. Yes, so what I want to do is I want to reload this save again. And at this point, 1 south, 1 east. And I want to go back to this room. This is the room that has the ghost in it. Because we need the wind-up key. So I'll just skip past that because we've seen it. And then, with the wind-up key, I want to go back into the girls' room. Using the grave tag. And this time, we're going to do the girls' room properly. So, we want to examine the stalls again. Do not take a peek. And instead, insert the wind-up key. This in turn causes an earthquake. But it allows us to actually, get the hell out of here. Now, from here, I want to go back downstairs. And to the exit. Because what that earthquake has done it's made the door here real. Meanwhile, now we are back with Morshige. So, from here, we want to examine this corpse on the ground. It's quite a long cutscene, and eventually we reach Taguchi, or Taguchi finds us, I should say. Okay. From here, we now want to go all the way to classroom 5A. And examine the closet. Because we want the kite string inside it. Right, next we want to climb the stairs to the second floor. Specifically, the first and second floor staircase on the southeast side. Now from here, we want to make our way all the way to classroom 1A. Now we will run into a cutscene en route. But we've heard this one before. That's fine. We're going to again try to get to classroom 1A. And again, we're going to check the closet. Because there's a twisted length of wire in it. And now at this point, we want to go all the way back to the... pretty much back to the exit. Ah, okay, I can't go that way. My bad. Alright, we'll go the other... I have to go the other way. That's why we took the staircase. I was sitting here thinking, why did I specifically put that bit in the notes? Yeah, that's why. Alright, and at this point, back on the first floor, we want to head pretty much at the exit. Not quite to the exit. We actually want to go there, which is actually the exact tile that Morshige started on. Or where we got control of him, I should say. And now, here, I'm going to take the next save. I can overwrite that one, I don't need it anymore. Because this is where we get the fourth ending. So, first things first. Examine the hole. And try fishing it out. It won't work. Instead of trying to fish it out again, and I suspected this when I was doing the stream, I strongly suspected this was a wrong end, but I wasn't sure. I was right. Try going into the hole is how you get the next wrong ending.
くそこうしている間にも眉の身に何かあったら俺は下に降りてあれを拾って戻ってくる簡単なことだ
As long as I proceeded slowly and cautiously, I thought, I'd be fine. First things first, I needed to figure out how deep this gap went.
深さは糸のここまでだから4メートル強ってところか思ったより深いな
Okay, so it's about 4 meters deep. That's fairly significant, actually. That's what, 12 to 15 feet? My height is 178 centimeters, so with arms outstretched, I'd be about 2 meters or so. So it'd be two outstretched U's end to end. Which meant if I grabbed onto the ledge with my hands and lowered myself down, I'd only have another 2 meters to fall. And that seemed entirely reasonable. It was notably less of a drop than one would face when jumping from a second-story veranda, for example. Are we talking from experience here?
Monday は登る時だが、その辺の教室から机や椅子をいくつか運んできて、先に穴に落としておこう。
A little stacking could easily give me 1.5 meters of extra height, I thought. And that should get me plenty close to the edge of the hole. I'd probably be able to reach it and grab on with just a single jump.
最悪の場合、1時間後にはすぐそこの玄関に田口さんが戻ってくるから、大声で呼べば助けてくれるだろう。
Fair enough.
これでよし。行くか。
I'm actually surprised the school let him carry the chairs. Like, most of everything else has just been affixed to the floor as if it's a decoration. But no, not these.
足がくじいたかもしれない。地面が床みたいに平らじゃないことくらい予想できたろうに。
Well, at least I could finally find out what the item was that I'd seen from above. It was like a small notebook. No, I recognized it. This was a student ID. In fact, it seemed to be a Kisaragi Academy student ID.
これは眉の学生証。なんでこんなところに。まさか上からここに落ちて。眉いるのか、眉。
There were a considerable number of dead bodies down here with me. Most of them were full-on skeletons who seemed like they'd been here for ages, but a handful of them looked like they may have just died a few hours ago.
こんなに人が。それもほとんど俺と同世代の。一体何が行われているんだ、この学校では。
I briefly scanned the bodies of the departed in the dim, unnatural light that filtered in from above, and found one that was wearing very familiar clothes. This was definitely the uniform of Kisaragi Academy High School. I was horrified. Mayu, please tell me it's not you.
院長、おい、篠崎。
Both of Ayumi Shinazaki's eyes were wide open, but she wasn't looking at anything in particular. Those eyes weren't seeing anything at all anymore.
篠崎。なんで誰がこんな。落ち着け、冷静になるんだ。篠崎は死んでいる。これは死体だ。そこら中にある死体の一つだ。そう、篠崎の形をした肉の塊だ。ものなんだ。
That's a hell of a justification.
くそ、篠崎には岸沼がついていると思ったのに、あの単細胞は何をやってるんだ。あいつがどこかで油を売ってるから、篠崎がこんなことに。こんな。
Given what we saw in Chapter 3, probably all fondling fucking, Miss Yui.
「遺族のために何か持って行った方がいいよな。こんなに血で汚れた制服はダメだな。遺族が動揺する。下着なんて論外だ。髪留めのゴム紐がありふれている。
I love how underwear was the second consideration, and hairband was the third. Yeah.
もう少し篠崎の個性が伝わるような。委員長のろうそくはここにはないか。
Nope, because Mitsuki has them on her.
髪の毛とかいいはずならいいだろう。ハサミがないから。そうだな。仕方ない。歯で噛み切るか。
Dude, we haven't done teeth yet, or tooth, I should say. That chapter's coming up later. Let's not give people a sneak peek, please.
人の髪の毛ってのは意外と丈夫なもんだな。綺麗に切れない。
It's almost like human hair wasn't designed to be eaten.
別の部分ならどうだ。例えば爪とか。待てよ。いや、舌がいいな。いいよな、篠崎。遺族のためだ。口を開けてくれ。
Just when you think this guy can't get any creepier. Also, if you can't bite the girl's hair off, the fuck are you gonna do to get her tongue off?
舌がないじゃないか。畜生、誰が。ふざけるな。これじゃ俺が仕方ない。歯で妥協するか。くそ。抜けない。指で引っ張ったくらいじゃ。
And again, it's almost like the teeth aren't designed to be pulled out.
あれ、目の前が真っ黒。黒黒前、どこだ。お前も俺が
I just imagine the voice actor trying to pull that off by the microphone, and everyone else watching him trying to stifle laughter. Well, that was a thing that happened. That was very much a thing that happened. And can you believe it? Even after all this, we're only halfway there. So, continuing on again from this save. That's the only new ending that we can get going down that path. Give me a sec. Hold up. No, no, no. Not you. You. Right. Okay, so I accidentally closed my window here. That was not a good thing. Wait. Alright. So this time we're gonna fish out the ID
あれを
properly.
拾うには何か工夫しないと。
So fish it out, doesn't work. Fish it out again. It does work. Okay. Now at this point we want to go back to the exit.
地震か。大丈夫だろうな、この校舎。
And at this point, Mitsuki, Fukuroi, and Morishige all meet up. Now we're still controlling Morishige, which is okay. So, at this point, we actually want to go to the 3rd floor. Straight up. And then on the 3rd floor, we want to go straight to the girls' room. And pick up the glass
骸骨の
notebook.
下に何かあるみたい。
Now you can read all of these if you want. The only one you're really interested in is disaster drills, because that's how you get your code for the door on the west side of the 3rd floor. So 8, 2, 4, 8, 2, 4, 3, 2, 2.
どのページから読もう。
That's all I'm interested in, that code. Oops. Yeah, take the notebook with us, whatever. Okay. Now, I want to go back down to the 2nd floor. And this time, on the 2nd floor, I want to go into room 3A. And examine the podium. Yes, you actually do need to examine the podium. I'm kind of surprised by that, but you do. Then I'm going to go up to the 3rd floor on the west side. And try to get into the ref room. That's fine, you be locked. Because we have the code.
試しにダイヤルを合わせてみよう。
8, 2, 4, 3, 2, 2. And in here, although I can't actually see it sitting anywhere, grab the Goya statue in here. Okay, so at this point we leave the book and we've got the Goya statue. At this point, I want to go down to the 1st floor. Why did I go this way? It's blocked. And it's still locked. Okay, so I have to go that way. My bad. That one's on me. I actually thought all the holes were repaired at this point, but no, it's just the ones leading to the third floor. Anyway, on the first floor, we want to head towards the locker room. And we get this scene. When we have the option to do so, turn back. Both faces were staring directly at me as if I'd somehow been designated their de facto leader, so after a moment's thought, I suggested we turn back. I didn't much care either way, but they obviously did, so it seemed the best course of action at the time. And that's how we get back without actually getting anything on our darkening meter.
よかった。
And this is all the same scene as the main game. We drop the Goya statue, destroy it entirely, and get the key to room 4A from within. Yeah, the classroom door's locked, but we have the key for it now. Now, in classroom 4A,
アルコールランプ
we want the alcohol lamp. Now, at this point, I'm going to save the game. Because this is where things start to diverge for the 5th run ending. Okay? And again, we're going to try to go into the locker room. It'll just take a second to get there.
暗いな。明かりをつけないか。
Now, this is important. Last time, we lit the lamp. This time, we're just going to leave a candle.
ねえ、なんか変じゃない？
確かに、もう随分歩いた気がするが、この校舎にこんな長い廊下なんてあったか。
And we don't really get anywhere. And we end up exactly where we were, but we only have 20%. But we have 20% darkening as a result of that.
暗いな。明かりをつけないか。
So, what we're going to do is we're going to leave a candle again. So we're up to 40%. Lather, rinse, repeat.
暗いな。明かりをつけないか。
60%.
暗いな。明かりをつけないか。
You see, we're now at 80%.
ないな。
Now, this time I'm going to play through it
アルコー
normally.
ルランプに火をつけてみようか。
But again, we're going to light a candle.
ね
確かに
This
もう
seems
随分
normal.
歩
え、絶対変だよ。だってこんなに歩いたらもうとっくに
暗くて角を曲がったのに気づく。
そんなわけないじゃん。
引き返した方がいいんじゃないか。
そうするか。
Yep, and so we turned around and saw nothing but an endless corridor vanishing into inky blackness. Basically a mirror image of the trek we've been making these past few minutes.
でしょ。そんなろうそくの明かりも見えなくなるくらい遠くへは歩いてないよね。
落ち着け美月。きっとろうそくの火が消えただけだ。
どうせ一本道だ。戻るしかない。
なんでそんなに冷静なの森重くん。私たちもしかしたら。
騒いでも解決しないよ。とにかく戻ってみよう。
森重君の言う通りだぞ。こんな時こそ冷静でいないと。
Well, we're 100% darkened at this point, so it's okay. Well, it's not okay, but it will be. No, it won't be.
で起きて。
And once you're 100% darkened with the group,
マユ。いや、もっと幼い。誰だ。
お兄ちゃん起きて。
ここは。
おはようお兄ちゃん。ここはね、私のおもちゃ箱。
the young girl thrust her face so close to mine that her noses practically touched. She was smiling from ear to ear. She looked to be in about first or second grade, with long black hair and a clean, cute, almost dainty countenance. After my brief impression, however, I quickly turned my head away. She was uncomfortably close, literally breathing down my neck, and her breath. It smelled of blood, of death and decay, and fatty oils and smoke. It smelled of chemicals and antiseptic. It was a very, very unpleasant potpourri.
誰だ。君は。
嬉しくなっちゃう。なんだこれはって聞かないんだね。ここに来た人はみんなまず驚いて泣き出すのに。
The little girl began backing away from me, her shoulders still shaking in a soundless chuckle. I knew exactly what she meant. It would be entirely reasonable to ask what's going on here. Even at a glance, I could tell this room was not good. The floors and walls were caked in blood as thick as mud. Buckets of body parts were strewn all about, and eviscerated corpses were stacked everywhere. And that was just what I could see at a glance. As for me, I was bound to a chair against one of the walls, not with ropes, but with chains.
私の名前は篠崎幸子。
俺をどうするつもりだ。殺すのか。
どうしよっかな。これから考える。先にこれで遊ぶから。
And just as she said the word else, she brought her hand down onto the nearby table in a slapping motion, and it made contact with someone. It was a girl, bound by her hands and feet, and Sachiko's slap was aimed squarely at her thigh. Her uniform suggested that she was in high school, and she was wearing glasses, giving her a rather stern, serious appearance. Was that Emmy? I could hear the sound of chattering teeth and see her chest rising and falling rapidly and erratically, suggesting she was paralyzed with fear.
名前はね、浦部恵美さん。
Oh wow, what a guess. and at the sound of her own name being read aloud from her student ID name tag, the girl let out a single whimper.
やめやめお願いお願い
ダメお姉ちゃんは今からとびきり痛いことをされます。惨めったらしい顔や命乞いをして見せてくださいね。
やだ冗談だよね。だって私何も
うるさい、気が散る。
And Sachiko swung her hand downward into Emmy's face. I realized only after impact that there was a scalpel in it. Ah! A sloppy, uncontrolled incision was made from the corner of her mouth all the way to her ear.
なんてね。ごめんね、痛かった？本気じゃないからまだあんまり痛がらないで。これからもっと痛くなるのよ。
Sachiko produced a pair of durable sewing scissors from a rollaway shelf nearby and began expertly cutting all the way up Emmy's school uniform. Then she set down the scissors and produced a full-sized farming sickle in their place. Oh my god. It looked well worn, with soil and rust sticking liberally to the blade. After brandishing it for a moment, Sachiko positioned it over Emmy's abdomen.
嘘でしょ。これ夢だよ、夢だ。
目が覚めるかどうか自分で確かめろ。
Sachiko slowly shifted her focus from Emmy's abdomen to the area just below her ribcage. Emmy's body began spasming, her spinal muscles contracting in a decidedly unnatural manner. Gasps and gasps and screams mixed with sounds of vomited incontinence. Lovely.
いい顔になってきたね。できるじゃないか。それだよ、それ。
And without even wiping the drool from her mouth, Sachiko tossed the sickle aside and simply began digging to Emmy's wounds with her bare hands. The sound of tiny hands manipulating internal organs was disgustingly similar to that of a sopping wet rag squelching spilled oatmeal off the hardwood floor. That is oddly specific. I can't say I've experienced that one personally. The noises escaping Emmy's mouth didn't even sound like they were coming from a human being anymore. I could see her face and profile now, and despite the gastric juices and vomiting blood and contortions of unbearable agony, it wasn't a disagreeable sight. Wait, what? This was a girl not far from death. She was trying her hardest to fight it, but the facts were the facts. She was going to die, and she knew it. Against this fate, she was completely and utterly helpless. She was doomed already, in both body and soul. This hapless struggle had a certain sensual quality to it. No, it was even purer than that. This was a truly beautiful sight.
本来に
Ain't she pretty? Sachiko, who had at this point buried her head in Emmy's exposed organs, withdrew it and directed this question at me, her mouth still full of flesh. Everything from her nose down was dyed red and dripping with blood.
本当にいい顔になってきたじゃないか。
She swallowed whatever she'd bitten out of Emmy's insides. Ooh. Then turned to face me. Swallowed it? What? Not just face me, actually, but stare at me. Stare into me with unwavering, unblinking eyes. I suddenly became aware of my own erratic breathing. It wasn't fear, though, but an almost animalistic reaction. It was coarse and primal, and I'd unconsciously thrust my chest forward toward Emmy. I think I may have been smiling.
どうだ、お前もやってみるかい？
Don't be ridiculous. It's like she's making fun of me. She shouldn't even have to ask. Morshige, you have reached a new low even for you. Alright. So, from that point, we've now got the first 5 endings. First 5 bad endings, sorry. We're now getting into the ones that we can't actually get until we've cleared the game once. Specifically the next 2. Well, I say clear the game, clear the chapter. So, again, I'm going to reload this save. So this is the save that we just picked up the alcohol lamp. Okay? So, like before, we're going to make our way to the locker room. And this time I'm going to light the lamp.
確かにろうそくよりアルコールランプの方が明るいし長持ちするだろうな。
And now I'm going to make my way to the pool. And we find Abby here. Still with organs very much intact, at least for the moment. And now we meet up with Nari and Chihaya. So, we're gonna make our way to the staff room, or at least attempt to. So, large hole in the floor here blocking the way through the hall. That's fine. But we did need to see that this hole was here. Next, we need to make our way up to the second floor. And then, from here, from the art room, we need to go... Where's my notes? 1 west and 2 north. So we need to go to here. Okay. And from here, you should see the battery pack. And now that we've done this, we need to return to the hall downstairs. Now this is where things should start differing from the main game. Because there's Taguchi. The problem is I don't know where it starts, so yeah. Okay, this is back with Morshige. And then Morshige meets up with Nari Jihaya. So, yes, so things should progress. Now, before I do anything else, I'm saving here. Because this is the part where we can start getting bad endings 6 and 7. So, from here, I can't actually leave. Yeah, I'm not. There's a big hole. Who cares about a hole? Hang on, I'm trying to. Taguchi's completely motionless. Impossible to tell from here if he's dead or simply unconscious.
地震またか
Ah, here we go. This is where things are starting to differ. Something hit me hard right in the back of the head. I began descending face first towards the ground. It felt like I was falling in slow motion though. The ground just kept coming. Yet for some reason, I could even put my hands out to break the fall. It was like I was being slowly swept toward a wall by some giant wave. My glasses fell from my face, and I distinctly remember watching them roll around. Okay, so we're now in Fukurai's mind. I haven't seen this, so this is new to me as well. Mitsuki's panicked screams brought me back to reality. Suddenly I remembered what was happening. She and I had pursued Emi Arabi from the pool back into the school building, and found her quickly enough. Unfortunately, she was already dead. Her head had been smashed open on the ground like a roasted chestnut. Again, oddly specific. Who could have done such a thing, we thought? And like it or not, it seemed I'd now learned the answer. Mitsuki was inconsolable, understandably, but after some doing, I'd finally managed to drag her away from Arabi's remains. We just began walking back towards the school entranceway when I got struck from behind and found myself careening towards the floor. I was losing focus, but could still make out the pool of blood spilling from my head, accompanied by a sound reminiscent of a leaky faucet. And unfortunately, I could also make out the vague form of a man standing over me, raising whatever he'd hit me with into the air for another strike. I instinctively shielded my head with my right arm and felt every nerve ending and every muscle in it twist unnaturally as the blunt object came down. Mitsuki's tomboyish face looked uncharacteristically wrinkled and puffy, with tears streaming down both cheeks. Or maybe it was just my blurry vision.
Mitsuki!
Mitsuki's sobbing screams and frantic footsteps began receding into the distance. This made me feel a little better. At least she'd be safe, I thought. It took only moments for my vision to go completely dark, but then I had taken a hammer to the head. as opposed to an arrow to the knee. Still, considering what I'd just been through, I'd expected to be unconscious by now. But I wasn't. I could feel every part of my body clearly. I kind of wished I couldn't, considering, but I was pretty sure I could still move at least for the moment. So I decided to do my part. With my uncrushed left arm, I reached out blindly, felt my attacker's leg as he began turning to pursue Mitsuki, and grabbed on tight. Mitsuki was important to me. Was I still alive? I couldn't even count the number of broken bones I'd suffered, and I could still feel every one of them. My head, my arms, my ribs, every part of me was throbbing with agony. No one part of my body hurt more than another. Every injury was unbearable.
驚いたな。この状態で生きてるのか。
Someone was next to me, down on one knee, head right at my ear from the sound of it. A young man, probably around my age.
聞こえてるか。何があった？
I couldn't see a thing at this point, not even vague shapes, but the voice addressing me sounded somehow familiar. I felt this was someone I could trust. Oh.
みんなを。山本。ああ、頼まれた。ちゃんと面倒見てやるよ。
Even without seeing his face, I could tell he was sneering when he said this. Then, in the next instant, I felt something hot bore into my abdomen.
お前はもう楽になれ。もっとも、ここじゃ死んでも痛みは消えないらしいけどな。どうでもいいだろ。お前はもう死ぬ。
Mitsuki, run. Meanwhile, back at the first floor of the main building, which way? So, which way, they say? To the covered walkway or to the second floor? Well, we want to go to the second floor. Which was a mistake. His expression never once changed. He was like some kind of twisted life-size doll with one face. No doubt the face he'd be wearing when he killed me. The last face I'd ever see. What could I do? What options did I have? So, two options here. We're gonna light the lamp for this one.
ヒデ早く
I love the music, wow! With adrenaline's help, I managed to get the matchbox out of my bag, withdraw a match, and even unsuccessfully strike it a few times, all in an instant. Finally, I got a flame, but it wasn't fast enough. The expressionless giant's hammer struck me full force in my right knee. I had nothing left to lose at this point, so I just threw the alcohol lamp haphazardly. It struck the expressionless man's raised hammer and shattered. A sizable amount of methanol spilled from the shards all over his face and chest, and there, thankfully, it burst right into flames. The man's entire torso was immediately engulfed. The hammer fell from his hand. I did it! Burn slowly, you bastard!
ほら見ろエミとフクロイの仇だこの人殺し何を来ないで早く死んでよ
His flaming hand grabbed my wrist. I could feel my skin instantly blistering, and then, mere moments later, my whole uniform went up. I've never tried to put blood, fire out with blood, just saying.
男の手が落ちていたハンマーを拾い、その焼けた鉄の金槌の部分を顔に押し付けてきたからだ。熱したフライパンに生卵を落としたような音がして、今までとは比べ物にならない灼熱感が顔面を襲った。視野の半分が真っ暗になった。手が見えない。焼きつぶされたせいだ。顔の皮がただれ、ブツブツと泡立つのがわかる。肉の焦げる奇妙に香ばしい匂いが鼻腔を刺激する。男は私以上に炎に包まれながら眉一つ動かさずハンマーを持ち上げた。ベリベリと私の顔の皮を剥がしながら、男は何の考えもなく一つの作業を行うようにハンマーを振り上げ、私の顔をめがけて振り下ろ。And
then that was the end of Itsuki. the wrong end, unfortunately. But, yeah. The fuck at that scene. Although I like the music, I'll say that much. We're getting through them. We're nearly there, I promise. So I'm gonna reload that same save right before Taguchi. So that ends 7. So again, I'm gonna just check Taguchi,
自信
and then I'm just gonna skip through this bit again. Fukurai dies to Kizami, I think it was. And then Mitsuki has to deal with her own inner demons. So we've got the option here again, to the covered walkway or to the second floor. So for Bad End 7, we want to go to the second floor again. So, we're back at this point. So, we lit the lamp last time for Wrong End 6. We're gonna try something else this time. It was the same sort of smell one might catch while walking past a ramen stand. God damn it, now I'm hungry.
そういえばお腹すいたな。
Yeah, thanks! You've made me hungry too.
千早、聞こえてる？もし聞いてたらお願い、忘れちゃダメだよ。誰？
Chihaya?
女の子の声だ。
Is that Nari?
何があっても絶対諦めないって約束したよね。ナナや光見つけてここから逃げるんだよ。怖くても寂しくても自分の身は自分で。千早聞いてる？私もうあんたを守ってやれないからさ。頑張るんだよ千早。何よ。暑いよ。やだ、助けて。お母さん。死にたくない。やだ、暑い。苦しいよ。
What was happening to her? My mind had been in a rather hazy state, but this poor girl's terrified screams, as if someone were tearing her heart out, brought me back to reality. I realised that my hands and feet were bound to a chair, and I was facing another young girl who was similarly bound and writhing in pain. She was wearing a school uniform I didn't recognise, so she must have been brought here from some other junior or senior high school. Were it not for the uniform and the voice, I might have had a tough time determining gender, as her face looked neither male nor female, young nor old. It was simply too burned to discern anything at all. From the top of her head down to her neck, and even halfway down her torso, she was thoroughly charred. She'd essentially been browned, and virtually all her hair was singed off, not unlike a Peking duck hanging outside a Chinese restaurant. Thank you for the image! Her skin was thoroughly cracked, with bits of pink flesh oozing through here and there, and her eyes looked blank, cloudy and watery, like the bottom of an order of sunny-side-up eggs. What is it with you and food? Only your teeth remained relatively intact. no idea how much time passed after that. For a while, the only real sounds were her chair rattling as she shook, and her murmurs of agony. Then, all that stopped, and the girl fell silent. Considering where she'd been burned, I suspected her lungs must have given out in the end. Though really, it could have been any number of things.
なんなのなんなのよこれ
My mind was a blank slate. I was beginning to lose my grip on reality, and may have even laughed a little. I was in a home ec classroom, maybe? A science lab? And all around me were arms, legs, heads, and other body parts, all simmering in pots and pans. None of it seemed real. It was like I was watching some bad horror movie on TV, except there was odor and heat, and both were really getting to me. I was getting nauseous, but not from the smell. It was instead from the thought that this aroma of human flesh boiling and frying was making me hungry. Ugh. As I fought to hold back my fear and hunger-induced vomit, I suddenly sensed a pair of eyes coldly staring at me. I looked in the direction from which I'd felt this sensation and saw before me a little girl in a red dress, just standing and watching.
いい時に目が覚めたのね。ちょうどあなたの番が回ってきたところよ。
やだやだまさか冗談だ
The little girl lifted a frying pan from a nearby gas burner and brandished it in her right hand. Steam rose from the hot pan, and I could see bubbling oil spattering all along its surface.
あなたはどんな歌を聴かせてくれるのかしら。
Oh, Gray Bear, she ain't what she used to be, ain't what she used to be. I could see the expression on her face clearly now. Mischievous, hungry, and positively jubilant, without even a trace of sympathy or remorse. By the sounds of it, that's the last thing you ever saw. So, that's wrong end 7. Now, we can still get wrong end 8, but I actually need to do the remainder of the extended good ending first. So again, I'm going to load this save. And we're going to quickly just get through Taguchi's section and make our way back to the Bitsuki choice. Right, I'm going to stop it here. So, second floor is a bad idea, whichever way you cut it. We're going to the covered walkway. And we end up back at the second wing. I ran anywhere and everywhere looking for Kurosaki, screaming his name at the top of my lungs, but he was simply nowhere to be found. So back in the art room of the second floor. Not in here either. I had no idea when that horrible expressionless man would show up again with his giant hammer. Every little sound was making me cower in fear. What I needed was a weapon. Something to defend myself with. There had to be something like that in here, right? And, my dear, there is. I'm surprised it's not got around like 99% darkened, I'll be honest. So I'll just overwrite that save because I don't need it anymore. And if I come over here, nothing of interest. That creep could come barging in at any moment. I have to find a weapon. I know, I thought it was in here. Maybe it's the shelves on the other side. Ah! There's an oversized chisel in one of the drawers.
これなら武器になるかも。とにかく身を守らないと。くそ、震えるな。
And I carefully took the chisel into my quaking hands. I wasn't sure if I'd actually be able to fend off an attacker with it, but it was certainly better than nothing. Meanwhile, back outside the art room,
黒崎、やっぱりいない。どこ行ったのよ。また廊下の穴の形とか変わってる。今なら黒崎と合流できるのに。袋井、ごめんね。私一人で逃げて。怖くて。頭の中パニクって。袋井は私のこと構ってくれてたのに。臆病者だよね、私。
well, to be fair, what the hell were you gonna do against the big guy?
もし私が男で勇気と力があったら、黒崎や木南くんみたいな強い男子だったら、袋井のこと助けてあげられたのに。誰か来る。誰さっきのあいつだったら私。
山本、無事か。
Kizami!
探したぞ。
Tall and handsome, but always just a little on edge. He never changed one bit. That's the problem. This was Yuya Kizami, one of my classmates.
木南くん、袋井が、エミも、二人とも。
山本、大丈夫大丈夫だ。事情は大体分かってる。
だって二人とも殺されたんだよ、あの変な男に。ひどい。
ああ、知ってる。さっき俺も見た。この彫刻刀は
Oh crap,
こ
he
れでそい
noticed
つ
the
と戦
chisel.
おうなんて思ったのか。
私なんかじゃかなわないだろうけど、でもただ殺されるよりはって。
バカだな、山本。こんなもの必要ないんだよ。
Kizami cupped my right hand between both of his, as if consoling me, and gently removed the chisel from my grip. He was so gentlemanly about it, his touch soft and caring.
俺が今お前の恐怖をすっきり終わらせてやるから。
Yeah, you literally just gave him the fucking murder weapon.
かわすか。動けるな、山本。
何するの？冗談は。
あんまり変わらないと思うけどね。俺が本気でも冗談でも山本が死ぬことにはさ。
What was going on? Why was he doing this?
なんで？何？やだよ、やめて。
さっきの話だけど一個訂正な。フクロイは殴られて死んだんじゃない。刺されて死んだんだよ。こんな感じでブスッと。逃げるのか？疲れるだろ。あまり無理するなよ。
なんで？どうしてこんなことに？みんなで普通に遊んで勉強してバカな話して笑っていつまでも友達だって。それなのにわからない。わからないよ。信じない！もう誰も信じないぞ！
Ah, and this is the part that we get to. Alright, so I'm just going to save here. I'll take it as a separate save just to be on the safe side. So this is the part with Morshige, and the note here. Whatever you do, don't look behind you.
振り返ったらどうなるって言うんだ。
Well, what do you say we find out?
森重
山本さん、フクロイ君は？
くん、わからない。さっきまで一緒にいたけど、なんか斧持ってるやつに追いかけられて逃げてるうちに。
そうか、心配だな。無事だといいが。あ、君も怪我をしているじゃないか。
私は平気。この血は私のじゃないから。それよりやっぱりやばいよ、この学校。さっきのやつがきっとここに迷い込んだ人たちを殺してるんだ。
僕はそいつを見てないから何とも言えないな。
私怖いよ。一人じゃ絶対私も。
よかったら一緒に来るかい？
いいの？
まあ構わないよ。
I can't trust anyone. And yet, immediately comes up with that. Yamamoto, overcome with relief, suddenly grabbed hold of me.
ちょっと。
ごめんね。森重くんは鈴本さんだっけ？彼女いるんだったね。
そういうんじゃない。なんていうか妹みたいなものだよ。
森重くんみたいなお兄さんがいたら退屈しないだろうな。
そうかな。どっちかっていうと退屈な人間だと思われることが多いんだけどな。特に同世代からは。暗いな。ん？山本さん？
ちょっと待って、明かりつけるから。
なんだこの廊下。やけに。そうだ、本館でもこんな場所が。
暗くて寒いね。
なあ、引き返そう。これ以上は危険だと思う。
でももう来た道がないよ。
しまった。そうだ、山本さん、あのアルコールランプを。
あれはなくしちゃった。でもろうそくならあるから。
そんなものじゃ。
あそこに部屋が見えるよ。行ってみよう、森重くん。
待て、危険かもしれないだろう。様子を。
Something is not sitting right with me here. No! Whoa, whoa.
怪我
What?
平気だよ。
What the fuck, Mr.
誤解しないで
Uh-huh, this took a turn.
俺は、いや、僕は。
それより少しお話ししない？
Can we get up first?
何を言って。
私のことは嫌い？しげに。
Shig? How do you know that name?
お前、誰だ。
誰だと思う？しげに。
やめろ。
Don't call me that. I tried to pick myself up off the floor, but she grabbed me tightly by the wrists.
話せ。なんで俺のことを、眉のことを知ってるんだ。
I struggled with all my might, and in the process, I inadvertently slapped Yamamoto, or whoever this was, square in the face.
痛い。女の子に乱暴するの？しげに。
Well, that took a turn. The skin from Yamamoto's face began peeling back, and a little girl's face burst out from within, covered in blood and muscle tissue. I wasn't ready for that one. I don't even know how it's possible, but black hairs burst out from the Yamamoto suit next, spreading across the ground like a black wing unfurling. Immediately, a musty smell began permeating the air, and I became aware of all the body parts around me, hands, feet, entrails, and a veritable lake of blood.
お前はいつから。眉をどうした。
どうしたんだろうね。しげに。しげに。しげに。よく泣くスズメだったよ。
Suzume?
今は物静かな。自分の目で確かめるといい。
まさか。まさか。そんなバカな。
私はお前を見ていたよ。面白い。見込みがあるやつだってね。たまにお前みたいなのがいる。この学校と相性のいい変わり種がね。
何なんだ。
Freaks of nature,
一体
that's one way to describe them.
俺をどうするつもりなんだ。
怯えているのかい？無理もない。だけど分かってるよ。お前の恐れの対象は生きた人間の死ではない。自分自身の死のみだ。
I mean, I would call that a justified fear.
話せ。俺は
話してやろうとも。歩いていけ。あの扉へ。校舎が案内してくれる。
Over to the door, let the school guide your way.
お
Okay.
前が探しているあの子のところへ。
眉。
楽しみだね。お前の反応が。つまらなかったらすぐ殺しちゃうからね。
True to her word, the girl let go of my wrists. Her body then began sinking into the floor, little by little, until there was nothing left of it. It was as if she were lying along the shore as the tide came in and slowly rose above her body, Or maybe the school just swallowed her up. Yeah, probably that one. The only things that remained of her were Yamamoto's school uniform and that face mask made from her skin.
これは夢か。それとも俺はもうとっくに頭がおかしくなっているのか。いや、だとしても俺は眉に会わなくてはならない。あいつは生きている。そうに決まっている。眉、今行くぞ。
And eventually, oh. Yeah. So that's how we get the final wrong end. Now, alright, so I'm continuing on with the playthrough here because I'm not sure if... Okay, attained all endings in Chapter 5. I got that achievement. I'm not sure if there's an extension to the good ending, however. So I'm continuing on, and if you're seeing this, then there most likely will be. But I kind of want to see for myself. So, yeah, because I genuinely do not know. So, we're just going to resume from this save. This was right before Wrong End 8. And it was right before the final decision. With the note, whatever you do, don't look behind
振り返っ
you.
たらどうなるって言うんだ。
And this time, we're going to go back for the good ending. We're not looking back.
来ないで。
You changed your tune
どうしたん
quick.
だ。袋井君は。
うるさい。来るなってば。お前もあいつの仲間なんだろ。
錯乱してるみたいだな。何があったんだ、山本さん。
触るな。血が血が。お前、やっぱりお前も。
誤解だよ。
Okay, so
これは
far
さっ
this
き死体
seems
を
the
調べた
same.
時に。
おかしいって思ったんだ。あんなに平気で死体に触って。やっぱりだ。
これじゃ何を言っても無駄だな。
私は騙されない。もう引っかからない。
Oh well.
やかましい女だ。生きている人間はうるさくてかなわないな。人は寡黙な方がいい。山本さん、もう言ってしまったのかい。
I mean, what did you expect? I ran as fast as I could, as far as I could. It was obvious to me now that even Mushke was out of his mind. There was no one left I could trust.
上だ。上へ逃げれば。
よう、山本。
Oh, this is new. Okay, this is new. And without even a moment's hesitation, my classmate Kizami suddenly swung a giant chisel in my general direction, narrowly missing me.
大丈夫か？逃げ惑うのもいいけど、無理するなよ。体力は温存しておかないと。この辺でいいか。大丈夫か？
やめてよ。
え？何をだ？
もうひどいことしないでよ。私あんたに何にもしてないじゃん。
そうだ。返さなきゃな、これ。
A sudden burning pain shot through my body, shaking my whole field of vision. The fat, dull blade of the chisel had been forcibly plunged deep into my thigh, all the way up to the handle. Ooh.
感触がやはり違うんだな。男と女とでは。なるほど。
There wasn't much I could do to resist. Not only had he knocked me over, but he was kneeling on the backs of my hands, holding me in place quite effectively.
いいぞ。正直だ、その反応。嘘をつかない奴は好感が持てる。本番といくか、こいつで。
Yuya Kizami had a twisted grin on his face. He slowly brought his right hand into view, and in it was a proper knife, glinting in the dull light.
Yamamoto, ほら、ここ。お前の腹に行くぞ。
I could feel Yuya Kizami reach up from under my skirt and press the cold blade of the knife against my abdomen. Ooh! And then, with one thrust, the knife was completely inside my body. My thoughts became jumbled. The pain was so intense, it felt like my brain was on fire. It took me a moment to process the sensation of a foreign body lodged unnaturally within me. I could feel all the blood gushing out from the wound.
いいぜ、山本。その調子だ。いい声聞かせてくれよ。
I'd never felt anything even remotely like this before in my entire life. Well, look at the bright side, my dear. You never will again. I couldn't even describe it if I wanted to. The pain receptors in my body were off the charts. I couldn't comprehend the things I was feeling. But despite my confusion and agony, I knew one thing for certain. If I couldn't stop this from happening right now, I was going to die. Every part of me was in agreement on that. My nerve endings were screaming it, and my brain could focus on little else. I might as well have been on fire. No, that's a different wrong end. It couldn't hurt any more than what I was experiencing. Shall we go back to wrong end, what was it, 6? And find out? No, it was too late for me. I could tell that the wounds inflicted were irreversible. Irreparable. I had to accept it. I was going to die. I'd begun vomiting blood, and it was beginning to lodge itself in my respiratory tract. Breathing was becoming harder and harder with each passing moment. My abdomen had been completely minced at this point, and the pain was so intense that I wished I could just leave my body altogether. My arms and legs were cold and numb, and my sense of reality was beginning to waver. My last breath couldn't be far behind. And yet, Yuya Kizami was smiling. It was a distant, relaxed smile, as of someone looking up at the stars or smelling a rose. It was the smile of a psychopath, the smile of a person about to end my life. For no particular reason.
ちょっと声が小さくなってきたんじゃないか。もっと聞かせてくれよ。
誰がお前なんかに。
I couldn't believe those words were coming out of my mouth. I could barely speak through all the blood I was spewing. But I was standing my ground.
あ
でもお前の思い通りに
てめ
Wow. For just a moment, Yuya Gizami's psychotic grin turned into a bitter, scornful frown. But then, as quickly as it vanished, the smile
え
returned.
なんだそりゃ抵抗のつもりか我慢なんてするなよ
I'm learning quickly this man is good at killing, he's not good at killing quickly.
おい
Or effectively, for that matter.
どうした声が小さいぞほら叫べよいてんだろ会話しようぜ会話なんか言うことあるんだろ泣きたいだろ命乞いしたいだろ
I was concentrating so hard on biting my lip and holding my mouth closed that I swear I'd forgotten how to breathe. I think I even broke my molars from the sheer force of my determination not to yield to Yuya Kizami's twisted desires. And I didn't even care. I'd have no use for my teeth ever again anyway. I wouldn't be eating anything where I was going. I wouldn't scream for him to stop. I wouldn't call for help, and I wouldn't beg for my life. My life was already over. All I had left was the knowledge that I'd go out quietly, without giving this sick freak any measure of satisfaction.
俺の方を向けよ無視するなよ話せよ言葉を
He was beyond redemption. There was absolutely nothing I could say or do to help him. I could either waste away silently or feed his psychosis. I could never make him understand how I felt at that moment. I could never convey to him just what he'd done to me. Death was my best and only option.
山本さん君も死んだのか
This was definitely the body of Mitsuki Yamamoto. Stomach and... Okay, yep, so we've seen this part. So I should just be... Oh! Her body was still warm to the touch too, meaning her death must have only just occurred.
不思議なもんだなほんの数分前に話した人間がこうして死んでいるっていうのはだけど山本さん綺麗だとっても綺麗だ
Oh, here we go
さっきまで
again.
とは雲泥の差だ君は今
Oh.
完全に自分の全てをさらけ出して無抵抗だいいよね君を連れて行くよ
Huh? Oh! I withdrew my phone, flipped it open and switched over to camera mode, where I immediately set about framing her remains at just the right angle. I didn't mind if it was just her image on that tiny screen. To me, it was as good as having the real thing in my pocket. The appeal was identical. It was as if I could freeze time in this moment and preserve her just the way she was. Yeah, oh, shit.
俺自身の目で見て触れ匂いを嗅いでこうして生の君を知ったから。生きていた時の君を見て声を聞き感情に触れていたから。見てくれよこんなに綺麗に通れた。もう君は俺だけのものだたまらないたまらない。君はひどいやつだな。
I've got Depeche Mode stuck in my head now. And I just can't get enough. And I just can't get enough.
俺をこんなに興奮させて心をかき乱して。
Hmm?
どこか落ち着ける場所へ行こう。あ、そうだ。
Okay, the rest of the ending is the same. Okay, that's fine. Alright, so the rest of the ending is exactly the same, but there's enough different in there, or enough extra in there, that I will be leaving this in as just as an extension to this video, because, I mean, why the hell not? But with that, finally, after what feels like forever, probably because it has been forever, we have got all the endings of Shangri-La. In fact, how long has it been? I'm curious now. Bearing in mind there's bits I'm going to have to cut out of this video, it's still over 2 hours. Bloody hell. So, yeah, that is where I'm going to leave this. As you can see, I've already got the wrong endings for Meyer, but I'm not recording these in order. So, next time, you'll get to see what I've recorded for Meyer, and it'll appear after I do the live stream for getting the true ending of Meyer. Until then, thank you all very much for stopping by. I hope you have all been suitably grossed out by everything you've witnessed tonight. And, yeah, take care, folks, and we get to do it all over again. Yeah, good night, all.